Next week, Cash is happy to hear that Abby and Nerida's complaints are being taken seriously. Now he only hopes that Eden will open her eyes and see Tim for who he really is. When Abby and Nerida head to Salt, they run into Eden. Claiming Nerida is a friend from counseling, Abby introduces her sister, i.e. the object of Tim's affections. Nerida looks Eden up and down. "Not what I expected," she retorts, leaving Eden a little confused by the apparent coldness. Tim soon receives word that he has been suspended, pending an investigation into 2 complaints about professional misconduct. Whilst it's fairly obvious that one had to be Abby, Tim realizes that the other complaint could only have come from Nerida. As Eden wonders how Abby and Nerida would even know each other, the penny suddenly drops: Cash. Tim explains to Eden that Nerida had fallen for him during their counseling sessions, pointing out that clients can sometimes mistake the care that you show them for affection, or even love. Tim did all he could to distance himself from Nerida, but one day he walked into his office to find her practically naked and talking about how they needed to be together. Whilst he reported it to his bosses at the time, now that complaints have been made they have no option but to investigate fully. Eden later rails at Abby for trying to destroy her boyfriend's career, telling her that Nerida is deluded and that nothing actually happened between her and Tim. It's enough to plant a seed of doubt in Abby's mind, and when she later meets with Nerida again, she asks outright whether her account of her time with Tim is actually true. As Nerida talks about her and Tim being in love to this day, and how despite that, he will have to pay for hurting them both, Abby suddenly has a horrific realization. Abby rushes to Cash and tells him that she thinks she was wrong about Nerida. In fact, she thinks that she made the whole thing up, including her journal entries. Cash is alarmed as he realizes that he's been so focused on Tim doing the wrong thing, that he never even questioned Nerida's story. If Abby's right, then he's made a big mistake. As they both later read through Nerida's journal entries, it becomes clear that it's the work of a fantasist. Cash and Abby confront Nerida with their theory, and whilst Nerida denies that she's lying, Abby announces that she's withdrawing the complaint against him. When Cash later tries to convince Nerida to do the same, she considers the fact that Cash may be right and Tim doesn't actually love her. But if that's the case, then she warns that Eden should watch her back. Cash goes straight to Eden to try and warn her about Nerida, but after everything he's put her through, Eden isn't interested in listening. As Eden complains about wanting to get away from Cash, and Summer Bay in general, Remy has an idea. With Lyric having been issued with a noise abatement order following their backyard rehearsals the previous week, Remy decides the whole band could do with a break somewhere, now that he has the funds to do it. He later reveals that he's booked a mystery location for a rehearsal retreat, with Justin, James Stewart, Bree, Julia Godwin, and Tim all invited along for the ride. Kirby, Angelina Thompson, is excited for the trip, and a bit nostalgic as she remembers the days of Lyric going away at a moment's notice and sleeping in their van. But Remy has something a bit more lavish in mind this time around. Everyone's amazed when they later rock up to the Koi Stone River Estate, a luxury private retreat accessible only by boat. As the group marvels in their surroundings, back on Saxon Avenue, Cash makes a disturbing discovery. Noticing that Tim's car has been vandalized, Cash enters the empty house to find the whole place has been trashed. Realizing that Nerida's threats were no joke, Cash desperately tries to call Eden to warn her that she and Tim could be in danger, but she rejects his call. After repeated calls, Tim convinces Eden to switch her phone off, and is thrilled when he finally gets to witness Eden performing with her bandmates. But when it's suggested that the band play All of You, Eden refuses. Tim later questions her about the song, and she admits that it's one she had written for Cash. Seeing the strong reaction Eden had to the song, Tim has a realization: you still love him, don't you? Eden's silence as she tries to work out how to reply tells Tim all he needs to know. "I'm so sorry," Eden tells him, as a wounded Tim walks away. Meanwhile, having seen the name of the estate in the background of one of Lyric's social media posts, Cash makes his way to find Eden. He flashes his police badge to secure a lift to the estate by boat, knowing full well that Nerida could have also seen the post. As Tim walks around the grounds that evening, he's furious to come face to face with Cash. As Cash tries to explain that he's in danger, Tim refuses to listen. Remy is surprised to spot the two arguing from the mansion, and as Eden approaches he diverts her attention so that she doesn't spot Cash. As Tim squares up to Cash and warns him to get the hell out of there, we cut away from the scene, leaving us wondering what happens next. The next morning, a groggy Cash wakes up in the gardens with his hands covered in blood. As he tries to make sense of his surroundings, he spots Tim lying on the ground nearby, out cold and bleeding from a head wound. As Cash crawls over and checks on Tim, Justin arrives on the scene to find Cash leaning over his apparently lifeless body. "What the hell have you done?" Justin exclaims. Was Cash responsible for attacking Tim?